What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gin College Podcast. I'm your host, as always, John J. II. And today I'm joined with Brandon Smith, Smitty, Reversal. He's got a lot of nicknames. That's just naming a few. That's only probably 5% of them. So, Smitty, how we doing today, bro?
Hey, we're doing good. Doing good. Thank you, Johnny. Glad to be on.
Yeah, no problem. We're happy to have you. Smitty's here in the absence in lieu of Cody Almasi, which is usually here with us. But Smitty will be joining us more on the Gin College Podcast as well as the Gin Sports Network podcast. He'll be a contributor / analyst for us here on the Gin Sports Network. So look forward to seeing him a lot more. But yeah, Cody's getting married this weekend. So big congrats to him, getting hitched, getting finally, married. I know he's been wanting to get married for a while, been waiting a long time. So congrats to the kid. And Cody, hope you're having a good time, probably getting a few drinks in you, having a good weekend.
Hey,
so
cheers to Cody. Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So today, week 6, college football. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of featured games to talk about. We'll get into some other games, talk about the Big Ten. I'll be talking shit about Smitty's outfit. He's wearing a Hail, got the big maize and blue M, got the U of M hat on. We'll be getting into that a little bit more too. But we want to start off with Oklahoma versus Texas. Now, obviously, this is called the Red River Rivalry. This is very alive and well, similar to the rivalry with Oklahoma and Nebraska. Everyone just hates Oklahoma, I think. It's just one of those things. And
I wouldn't say that. I don't know. Everyone hates them, though.
I mean, they're just. I guess they're easy to hate. They're almost like I'm surprised Alabama doesn't have more rivalries just because they're really easy to hate. But we won't get into that right now.
It's tough to have a rivalry when you win, every time.
I guess that's true,
Alabama.
But it doesn't make it any easier, any less easy to hate you when you win all the time. So Oklahoma is still somehow, some way undefeated after and we can go back all the way to early September against Tulane, winning 40-35. That's a 5 point lead. That's not a big margin. That guaranteed didn't cover that game. And then winning by six to Kansas State. So there's really slim margins here, and I think Spencer Rattler and this Oklahoma defense, they've been tested a lot, and I'm not really anticipating a win or a lossless season. I think their days are numbered. Smitty, what do you think about this Oklahoma team, especially going into this rivalry, this game against the Longhorns this weekend?
Well, let me ask you a question here first. Are you saying that you don't think Oklahoma will suffer a loss this season at all, or are you saying that their time is coming?
I think their time is coming. That a loss is coming.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
it's just one of those things where I think that a loss is on its way. Don't know when, don't know with what team, but a loss is coming, and it's going to happen whenever it has to happen. I guess if
No,
you
I
look at the
agree.
schedule, I mean, looking at the schedule tonight, I mean, Texas, they're no team to really be not worried about. You got to be worried about the Longhorns. They've always had a strong strong football program, and they're doing good this year. So I mean, this could be a good game. I don't know. What do you think about what's going to happen this weekend? So they're 8-3 against the spread in neutral site games since 2017, that being Texas, and they're 4-1 against the spread this season. But this is Coach Sarkisian's first coach as an underdog. So I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, it's a
Of
neutral site
course.
game. It's a lot that could happen.
Anything can happen. Look, the game's in Texas. It's going to be a lot of. It's a 12 o'clock. It's a noon o'clock game. The fans going to be excited for this one. The players going to be excited for this one. It's going to be a really good game between these two teams. Obviously, divisional game here. 5-0, 4-1. The one lost by Texas. They got their asses kicked by Arkansas. And that was quite embarrassing. Everyone say that it was an embarrassing loss there by Texas against Arkansas. Granted, it was away, but they were favorites in that game. So we'll see what happens tonight. Or I'm sorry, not tonight, but tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a good game. We're going to see what kind of defense Oklahoma does actually have. They're only letting up 83.6 average rushing yards, while Texas likes to run the ball. That's one of the reasons why they won last week against TCU, because they ran the ball a lot of yards there. So it's going to be a really good game. I just don't believe in Spencer Rattler. I think that's why one of the reasons not a lot of people like Oklahoma. I mean, the kid, look, he's only a sophomore. He's a decent quarterback. I just don't think he has it. I think Texas is a better team. I think they scored the ball probably more. Look, Oklahoma put up 76 against West WCU. Who's WCU, John? Let's see here.
I feel like it's West no,
Western Carolina.
Western Carolina. I was gonna say
So
West Coast University.
so I mean that was just a beat up game there. But no, I like Texas. I like Texas. I wish it was at Texas, but I'll take a neutral site game just to build the hype a little more, keep the spread down a little bit lower.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move to have a neutral site game. I wish it was at UT too, because I think that almost seals the deal for the Longhorns. But you take a look at the spread, 3.5. So the Sooners are favored by 3.5 points. And
Hmm.
I'm with you on Spencer Rattler. I'm not fully convinced with him yet. Still a young kid, still got a lot to learn. This Casey Thompson kid, on the other hand, he's really got it figured out. And their stats. The thing is, their stats are very similar. And obviously, Spencer Rattler and the Oklahoma offense, they choose to go through the air. They're not going to choose to go on the ground. If you had to ask them what they're going to average, they're going to go through the air more than likely. So this is going to be a battle through the air for Oklahoma. It's going to be a battle of the offenses, battle of the quarterbacks, and I think it's going to make it even more fair at a neutral site. I think that the spread, I guess, do you think the 3.5 is a fair spread, especially since this game's
I
at a
mean,
neutral site?
for me, I love that spread because looking at this game, I'm looking at Texas. I'm looking at Texas in this game, and so I love that spread. It's I like it. I really do. I think it's a good spread for the game. I think that this game is going to be decided obviously on two things: which defense is going to play better, and is Texas going to score the ball like they can? So kind of let down last week at TCU. Kind of a letdown game there. Kind of surprising they didn't come out there and actually dominate. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's gonna be a really good game, and I think the defenses, if Oklahoma defense shows up and Spencer Rattler has a decent game, I think they could win.
Yeah, it's all dependent on how the offenses play and how the defenses counter. So we'll see how that happens in this Red River rivalry. Be a good game to watch. Tune into it tomorrow. And that spread actually changed too. It was Oklahoma -3. It has changed to 3.5 since yesterday. So I mean, that half a point. Once you're talking about 3 points, every single game. I mean, the average of games that happen over the course of history in the college football landscape in the NCAA, the biggest, most popular differential is 3 points. So to see that point five get added to that three is a game changer. So we'll be watching that one, tuning into it. Make sure you're posted tomorrow to the couch watching that game. Watching that game. It's gonna be a big one. Let's talk about a Big Ten matchup. Penn State coming in at fourth ranked in the nation against number 3 Iowa in the Hawkeyes. Iowa is favored -1.5, over under 41. They're anticipating this one to be a defensive matchup. What do you see in this game, Smitty?
Defense, a whole lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Um, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war, and for Iowa, you know, the -1.5, I think, is almost a little bit disrespectful to Petrus, the quarterback for Iowa. I mean, they're just not giving that kid much respect, and he's not doing a whole lot. The Iowa defense is great. This is gonna be a great game.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be just a good old fashioned Big Ten matchup, top five matchup in the AP polls. And I've already talked enough shit about the AP polls last week. I talk about it on Gin and Tonics, talk about it on podcasts, talk about it
They
on
don't mean
live
shit.
streams. They don't mean shit because they're made by sports broadcasters and analysts and journalists. Okay, and it's an aggregate of everybody, but I just don't like how that's picked. Let's look at these points per game right here. This is what I'm looking at: 30 and 33.2. That's very low. First of all, okay, that means they're either playing teams with good defenses or they're just not getting the job done on the offensive side of the ball. Um, I mean that coincides with the over under 41, right? So I mean that kind of bettor's going to be looking at that. Okay, I want to smash the over 41. I want to smash the over, but it might be a trap. It might be a trap. It's going to be a defensive showdown, and it's just going to be a battle of the quarterbacks. You
Hey,
said
look,
go ahead.
these defenses can, I mean, these offenses can score as well. Sean Clifford is a good quarterback, and Petrus is a solid quarterback as well. Um, it's it's gonna be a good game. The defense that shows up, more is obviously that team's gonna win. As long as Petrus isn't out there, the turnover ratio in this game is gonna be huge. Whoever wins that battle, say that battle is even or won by either side, that's going to be again another deciding factor because these defenses are going to get in your face. They're going to make these quarterbacks uncomfortable, and then you guys just got absolute athletes in the secondary. So, you know, Iowa played Maryland last week. They forced 6 turnovers. Well, I'm sorry, 6 interceptions. I believe it was 7 turnovers. So this Hawkeyes defense is legit.
That was a hard game to watch last weekend if you were a Terrapin, just because you had that terrible injury, and to add insult to that injury, you had basically an 8-yard touchdown pass that they scored from the point of that fumble, and they won that game in a significant margin. And yeah, so I mean, we'll look at these stats too. Let's consider these stats. So Penn State coach James Franklin is 4-1 against the Hawkeyes since he's been at the helm. In the last meeting, Iowa won 41-21 at Beaver Stadium. So this is going to be a big matchup. I mean, there's only so much we can speculate. It's going to be an offensive matchup, mostly going to be a defensive matchup. Yes, these teams can score. Their offenses have the capabilities to score touchdowns and points, but it's going to be a defensive standoff, and we're going to have to see who shows out and who shows up
Yeah, I mean,
on the defensive side.
I could speculate that this game obviously is at 4 o'clock. A good buddy of mine was talking about this here. Game's at 4 o'clock. They're going to come out at halftime, and the lights are going to be on. The crowd's going to be massive. They're going to be jumping around. I mean, Iowa is going to be lit. This is a fourth ranked and third ranked team coming together. Big Ten matchup. This is gonna be the best game, one of the best games of the day. I like Iowa a lot. I think their defense is gonna show up. But hey, don't undermine Sean Clifford. The kid is a good quarterback. He's going to be playing in the league. He might be a backup, but he's going to be going to the league. He'll get drafted. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Give me a pick on that game.
Yeah, honestly, God, this game is so tight. But I'm gonna ride with the Hawkeyes at home with their if let me make sure I'm correct here. Their defense is ranked seventh in the country, and I think they're probably better than that. So I'm gonna be riding with the Hawkeyes there. I just hope that Petrus will come through. He made his mistakes last year, so hopefully he's gotten that year better. He's been showing it. Hasn't thrown for a bunch of yards, but they have a good running game. I like Iowa in this game to just pound the ball running it and to just be physical on the defensive side and to
Good
be
stuff.
loud. Be loud.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna be loud. They're gonna be very loud. But the thing to consider, and this is the last thing I'll leave it with. Penn State is they're no stranger to a loud stadium. Okay. Now, a lot of teams were strangers to a loud stadium last year because of COVID, right? We had COVID. The stadiums were basically empty. They eliminated fans except for close family and friends. But this year is different. Obviously, you had the whiteout against Auburn where they came out and won. The fans had a big part in that game. Why they won that game, they had a big part in it. So we'll see how it works on the opposition against them. So let's move on. Let's talk about LSU and Kentucky. Kentucky coming in 16th. LSU is not even on the board on the AP polls.
And they shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be with how they've played this year, but you look at LSU year after year after year, and it just seems like it's kind of crazy not seeing them on the board, not seeing them on the AP polls, not seeing them with a little number next to their name. I guess what has LSU lacked in this year, and why is this matchup so weighted towards Kentucky?
I wouldn't say this matchup is so weighted towards Kentucky. And with LSU, it's just kind of been it's just a redevelopment. A couple seasons here, it's redevelopment. They had just an amazing season with Joe Burrow there from the transfer. A lot of talent has gone through that school. They just for some reason weren't able to keep it rolling, like Nick Saban in Alabama has done year after year after year. I'm not real sure what to tell you there. They just don't have this year. It might be the quarterback. I don't know. Haven't been following these guys that much. They've been. I knew from the start of the season they just weren't going to be that great. Um, and with Kentucky, that team's just they're 5-0. That team is playing inspired. They have a decent defense. If we go ahead and take a look here, 11th ranked defense in the country. So that's pretty impressive. That's top 15. Not quite top 10. There's a couple teams in front of them. You kind of look at you're looking around, but it's gonna be a good game. I'm excited for this game as well. Kentucky's coming off a really good win against Florida at home, so these are back to backs. We'll see what happens. Is Kentucky gonna roll out of bed tomorrow and keep thinking about that Florida win, or are they gonna move on and say, hey, let's go to 6-0. Let's beat this LSU team who's not LSU of the past. Let's get at this quarterback and let's win for this home crowd. Night game, 7:30.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one under the lights. So the
Kroger Field.
the turnovers are going to be the issue for the Wildcats. They have 11 turnovers to date this year already in week 6. Kind of, it's a little bit not good.
No,
I
it's
guess I don't know
terrible.
you can't really sugarcoat that with 100,000 pounds of sugar, right?
But
It's just one of those things. But how is that going to affect this game? Is LSU and their defense going to be able to capitalize on those turnovers and add a little more to that tally?
Look, LSU and their defense or lack thereof. Kentucky's had multiple games. I think they had at least 2 games that had at least 3 turnovers. That's a lot of turnovers in a game. But what we will say about their turnovers is 1, they had them, yes. 2, they still won the game. So there's something to take notes of there. Now, if you look at this Florida game, they didn't turn the ball over, or maybe they turned the ball over once. Let me just double check that stat. They turned it over once. There was an interception thrown. So the kid threw 17. He attempted 17 passes. So yes, turnovers could be a deciding factor in this game. And I think everybody at the University of Kentucky knows that they have had turnover issues this year. So they have to keep that in check.
100%. So I want to touch on the spread and how it's changed. Kentucky came in yesterday on all sports books -3.5. Today it's -2.5. Over under remains at 51. I think that this could be the over under is 50.5, so point 0.5 of a point could be the difference. Who knows? But I think that I think the bookies are really claiming Kentucky to be the real deal, but they're not really sure. They're starting to lean towards, okay, well, LSU might be able to come out and win this game. So I don't know. I think they're indecisive. There might be an opportunity here for the bettors.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm looking at, points allowed per game. Kentucky's only allowing 16.8 per game on average there. The other thing I'm looking at as well is that LSU, on average, is only running the ball 70.6 yards a game. They're passing the ball 303.2. And when you see a stat like that, you go ahead and you look at Kentucky, how much they're allowing. Well, they're only allowing 180. Now you say 180 is a lot. Well, it's not 300 though. So if they control the amount of passing yards that LSU throws, Kentucky will have a very good opportunity to win this game. Um, the spread 2.5, I think it's a great spread. LSU come in, they could win this game. Look at them at Mississippi State. They went to Mississippi State and they won 28-25. That was a hard fought game for them. Kentucky's coming off a big win. We'll see if that carries over. With college kids, I really don't think so. I think they're ready for the moment that arises tomorrow at 7:30. Um, we'll see if Kentucky's turning the ball over, then you give me LSU. But if Kentucky's playing a clean game, maybe only one turnover, you give me Kentucky. So this game's a little weird for me.
Yeah, a lot of factors to consider, especially when you're considering, all the turnovers they have. They might be, aware of how many turnovers they have, might be doing all they can within their power to avoid any more turnovers or avoid making that, a 20 plus turnover season. And that could be detrimental, especially to the record going into the postseason. But we'll see how they adjust and see how they get into it. But let's move on to the picks. Obviously, we can analyze these games all day, all night, as much as we want to. This is what the people want to hear. They want to hear the picks, and we're going to give as many picks as we want to. We're probably going to give a small percentage, at least I am, a small percentage of my picks for this weekend. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. The spreads won't change a whole lot between now and tomorrow, but they could. So this is a couple games I'm looking at. I really like, and we'll talk about your Wolverines real quick. Michigan and Nebraska. Michigan coming in -3.5. This is yesterday. So let's look at the updated spread and see if it changed at all. And these spreads are really subject to change. I'd say from Thursday to Friday is the biggest change in spread. Yeah, look at that. 2.5. 2.5. Michigan -2.5. I mean, that's a field goal. And you win that game. So I like Michigan and the Wolverines -2.5, especially what they did to Wisconsin last week. Embarrassing for the Badgers. So I guess who you could take?
Well, as you can see, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the Michigan Wolverine Kool-Aid. Uh, I love this team. I love Michigan. I've been a diehard Michigan fan, obviously. But look, I think that obviously the bookies don't believe in Michigan that fully yet. They can run the ball. They have a solid defense, and McNamara can pass. I've been telling people, I said, look, this is the best. This is the best Michigan team that Jim Harbaugh has ever had. And when I say that, I mean overall. They have a decent defense. They have an offense that can run the ball, and they have a quarterback that is mobile and can pass the ball. Now, yes, this pass is not 100% great. No, he's working on it. But this Michigan team overall is a decent, solid team. I think they're going to go to Nebraska, who just dominated Northwestern. Hoorah, Northwestern is terrible. No one cares. So we're going to go into this game. It's a new day. You're looking at Adrian Martinez. That quarterback's not great. So we're going to get some pressure on him. Hopefully, I like Michigan here. It might be subjective. Is Nebraska going to play tough? Yes, they're at home. It's a night game. They're going to play tough. But I believe in this Michigan Wolverines team. I think they'll come out with the win. And I think they cover.
If you hear me say that I'm taking the Wolverines, there's no way that you saying that you're taking the Wolverines is subjective. I can see how you might think I would think that, and I appreciate too that you admit that you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay, because a lot of people are, a lot of Michigan fans are. I think you speak for a lot of Michigan fans when you say that you're drinking the Kool-Aid, and that's a term Cody used. That's a term Cody used. He said he's not drinking the Kool-Aid. He's also a diehard Michigan fan. He's going to support him, but he's not drinking the Kool-Aid. And I want to talk to hopefully the Michigan Man Cave podcast guys see this or hear this because I want to know. I want to know if they're drinking the Kool-Aid too. A lot of them aren't big fans of Harbaugh. They think he's on his way out. Let me ask you that, Smitty, before we move on to a couple more games here. Do you think Harbaugh is on his way out, or do you think he's here to stay for the next 5 years?
Oh, Harbaugh, I think is here to stay. Whatever his contract is labeled as, he's not going anywhere. If he can stay, he's going to stay. And quite frankly, with this game and drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid at 5-0, and I will be chugging the Kool-Aid if they go to Nebraska and they win this game. It's going to be a tough game. Okay, this is college football. It's going to be a tough game. Adrian Martinez is not a great quarterback, but we're looking at October 30th. My birthday, by the way. We're looking at October 30th. At State, and State has to play Rutgers, and they have to go to IU. I mean, IU is going to be a tough test, but if I'm looking at Michigan State potentially being undefeated on October 30th, and that's going to be amazing. So, drink the Kool-Aid big time. I think Jim Harbaugh, again, like I said, best overall team he's had since he's been there, and this season is going to help recruits come to Michigan because they're going to.
Last question: Is Michigan a football school or a basketball school?
Michigan is both, baby. Better believe it.
I'll ask you again: Is Michigan a basketball school or a football school?
They're both, baby. I don't know. That's the
I'm
dumb
not
question.
satisfied with that answer. Okay,
We got.
I'm not
Hey,
satisfied.
look. Hey, take a look. Take a look at our coaches. Take a look who's been there. Take a look what we've done. Michigan is the greatest university in the world. I don't know if you heard that or not, but it's true.
He's definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. We'll just say they're a basketball school. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Michigan State, Rutgers.
Yeah, we'll see about
So,
October 30th, buddy.
so Michigan beat Rutgers by a touchdown. State obviously lost to Rutgers last year. I'm a little bit worried about this game. I'm a little bit more worried about this game more than the IU game. Okay, and that's just something that's I got to be completely upfront about. We'll take a look at the spread. It was 5.5 yesterday, favoring State. It is now 4.5 because the bookies are getting worried. They're thinking, you know what, this might be kind of somewhat. Obviously the Michigan State Spartans, they're a different team than they were last year. But Rutgers, they're a team. They're like a parasite. You got to get rid of it. You want to get rid of it, but it's there and it's hard to get rid of. It's like a cockroach. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to take away from this game, if I like this spread or not. If I think it's a trap game, especially Rutgers playing at home. What do you see here?
Man, I tell you what I see is just you're asking me if Michigan is a basketball or a football school. Well, everyone's looking at Rutgers and they're asking them, hey, are you guys a swimming team school? Because their sports are terrible. No one should be worried about Rutgers. No one should be worried about this game. Michigan State has proven that they can play well. I honestly don't see this game being a problem. If you go ahead and look at Rutgers, I mean, the team's just abysmal. They got their asses kicked last week. I mean, why are they even going to suit up? Everyone's wondering why they're suiting up, why they're strapping on their helmet. They're not gonna win this game. I'm not worried about it at all. I like State. They can run the ball. Kenneth Walker needs to come out, run the ball like he did against WKU, and Thorne just needs to take care of the ball when he's passing. Special teams come up big. Defense, keep doing what you've been doing. Simple as that.
Yeah, I love the special teams. The defense is okay. The one thing that I saw this is the only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant on this game, and it's not because I'm not a diehard Michigan State guy, which I am. And I'm trying to be as objective as I can. But I saw Peyton Thorne play scared against Nebraska. I didn't like that. I didn't like seeing that. They eventually pulled it off, but it was those special teams and Jaden Reed that really pulled that game off, pulled out the dub. And Matty Coggs, too. Got to give Matty Coggs some credit. By the way, Matty Coggs, send me a DM back, man. I'm kissing your ass all over the place on the DMs. Now you're reading my shit. Pissed off. All right. Cool. Well, let's talk about one more game. Talk about one more game that I want to talk about. And that one is let's just talk about Temple Cincy. Let's talk about Luke Fickell. How is Luke Fickell handling this Cincinnati team? Are they a team that can't be beat? Are they, a team like no other? Because they're proving themselves to be an elite team. What have we
Cincinnati,
seen out of Cincinnati this year that we haven't seen in previous years?
Cincinnati, I think goes undefeated. Um, Look, Desmond Ritter. Um, I think he's a junior now. He has the experience. This is his final year in college. Luke Fickell is a great coach, defensive coach. He understands the game. Came from a great school, Ohio State, by the way. And then their
So
defense. Their defense has been there year to year to year. So they're just putting all the puzzle pieces together, and if they don't go undefeated this year, then they're gonna exit the season just disappointed because they have a real opportunity. They've overcame their battles. Now they just got to continue on, give themselves a real opportunity to make the playoffs.
Can't believe you said Ohio State is a great school.
Ohio State is a great school. They
What
are.
what are you what are you wearing right now?
Hey man, I am a observant of winners. That's all I
Wow.
can do. And look, I'm wearing this because I don't know if you know this or not. Michigan's 5-0, and then they're gonna come to East Lansing, and they're gonna beat the Spartan Dogs. Okay,
Oh,
so
baby.
I'll be at that game. I'm gonna go to that game.
I would be at that game. I'd probably be on the field. I'd be on the sidelines, but I'll be in Mexico. I'll come back the day after that. So, insult to injury, I know, but I'll be tuning into that game, whether it's in Spanish or not. So be ready for that and be releasing some content even when I'm down there on the coast. So stay tuned. Be ready
Don't
for it.
drink. Make sure you're drinking bottled water, of course.
Oh, bottled water, no tap water. Exactly.
I can't
Thanks for
drink
the
that
reminder.
water in America.
Yep. Good point. So that brings us to the end of the show, guys. Smitty, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have anything left to say that you want to kind of tell the people, tell everyone the experience you had today on the Gin College podcast? Will you be back? Did you have fun? Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey. Again, thank you, John, for allowing me on. I'm glad I could fill in for Cody. Again, congratulations on that marriage there. A lot of fun. Talking football is a passion of mine. Talking sports is a passion of mine, and quite frankly, I only like to talk about things that I know what I'm talking about. So coming on here, give you guys some insight, give you guys some of the stuff I'm thinking about. Hey, it's what I do, and it was fun. And I think that I think I'll be back on. Hopefully, maybe in the NFL realm, maybe in the MLB. Hey, we're gonna stir it up out here.
Yeah, we got MLB postseason really getting hot and heavy, and I'm loving betting these games. A lot of them are very predictable if you catch the right side of it. Over unders -1.5. So you can, when you're betting run spreads, it's kind of you're playing with fire a little bit. But we really had a good time tonight talking some college football, stepping in for Cody, and I'm sure we'll have you on some of our other shows talking about the rest of the postseason in the MLB, talking about fantasy in the NFL, different fantasy things, different happenings in the NFL. And we'll probably do that. We might even have you on the Gin Sports Network podcast next Wednesday. And we'll talk about that very soon. But yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I had a great time tonight. Smitty sounds like he had fun. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to be posted to all of our social media for all updates on the podcast, all the podcasts we have going on, the Fantasy Podcast, Gin Sports Network Podcast, and the Gin College Podcast, and whatever podcast we got coming out next. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Gin College Podcast. I'm your host, as always, John J. II with Smitty. Have a great night.